growing up, I read the Book of Mormon pretty much every day, but it was always kind of one of those things that I just did because I knew I was supposed to. And before I went on my mission, I remember being very, very nervous because I didn't feel like I had a solid enough testimony of the Book of Mormon. I couldn't say without a doubt that I knew that it was true. And I remember actually, one of my good friends is Elder Bednar's granddaughter. And I remember I had the chance to sit down and meet with Elder Bednar. And I told him about some of my worries. This was a few months before I was about to leave on my mission. And I told him that I was worried because I couldn't say without a doubt that I knew the Book of Mormon is true. And so I didn't know how I could tell other people that it was true if I didn't know for sure for myself that it was true. And one of the pieces of advice that he told me was that that as we testify of the Book of Mormon, that's when our testimony comes. But we have to start. We have to start somewhere. We have to testify, and as we testify, that's when the Spirit confirms that it's true. And as we work towards that, as we read it, the Spirit will help us. And so I just went for it. I just went on my mission, and I told people that it was true. And the more and more that I did that, and as I read and I studied, I had so many spiritual confirmations that it was true that by the end of my mission, there was no doubt in my mind. I had enough spiritual experiences that I couldn't say that it wasn't true. I remember knocking on the door of a man on my mission. We knocked on his door. It was a big man came out. It was just me and my companion, and he came out onto his front porch and stuck his hands on the two sides. There's these pillars or whatever, and he was just very, very intimidating. And we had been talking about the Book of Mormon, and he kind of had some questions about it. And I remember that I just started testifying in the Book of Mormon. I can't remember what I said. He had some questions about it, but I remember I had the Book of Mormon in my hand, and I was just testifying to him of its truthfulness. I think the Spirit just took over because I don't remember what I said. But after that, because before it, he had kind of been arguing with us a little bit. And after I finished testifying to the Book of Mormon, he just looked at us. He looked at me, and he just said, basically, I can tell that you're really passionate about that. And that's all he said. And he went back inside and closed the door. And I remember after that experience, walking away with my companion and just looking at her and saying, I have no idea what I just said. I just started talking. But I felt the Spirit testify so strongly that the book was true. And that in that moment, he could not deny that. He could not deny my testimony because he knew that I believed it. And that's all that mattered. And I think that as I kind of went through my mission, it's hard. The British are very stubborn, and they don't trust missionaries very often. But I, as I went throughout my mission, testified of it, we get a lot of backlash, but ultimately I knew that it was true, and I had enough spiritual confirmations, and so I trusted that I would tell people about it. Maybe they wouldn't believe me, but they would remember that I knew that it was true, and I believe that meant